All praises, look what you made me. Boy, stop it. I've been a prophet since I was a baby. I've been applying, the old man is dying, and that's on a daily. I know the truth, do not play me. I got the proof, it's in HD. Light shine, fringes, chosen, different. Fervent heat like a skillet. We've been favored since beginning. We led by the Lord that I mentioned. He coming with heat like an engine. And a sword for the vengeance. Which vessel am I? Am I gonna stand until the end, or am I gonna die? Which vessel am I? Am I gonna learn to balance my talents or run out of time? Which vessel am I? Your preacher been lying. We under a curse for a wonder and sign. Repent of your crimes. Seek out the kingdom, you'll find grace in the side of the highs. Never understood why I couldn't catch the Holy Ghost with no ladies in their late 80s. Lace up their cleats and they brace up their knees, get the chop in their feet and they start moving back and forth. In a room where the Jews are confused and they fed with a spoon, all the lies they consume. Pass the pork chop, lead them all to their doom. He got hate in his heart and his mind full of fumes. Hey, please don't pass me that basket. It's a shame it is tragic how you fall for his tricks. You little silly rabbit, he's deceiving the masses, stretching lies like elastic. No, I don't go to church on Sundays cause we keep the Sabbath. Top of the morning, I'm giving the warning. Turn from the idols and stones you adorning. Don't do it for titles or people in mourning. Confess all your faults like the people in Jordan. Hey, I pray for the death of my enemies. Keeping the law is the remedy. Don't care about the things you be telling me. I traded my suit for a border of blue. Stop all that babble, the people confused. I can tell you a wolf. Dishonest and void of the truth. You tell me what's loose, you see what you do. You rather you tell me your lips and you spew deceit to the bruise and twist up the views. There's judgments for breaking the rules. The pastor been doing you wrong. I need you to open your eyes. If you pick up your Bible and read, I bet you can see and agree that the nigga is lying. Hearing his word for a fee and know it ain't G. He taking control of your mind. And the scriptures containing the keys, so get up and read or you gon' be burning with fire. All praises, look what you made me. Boy, stop it. I've been a prophet since I was a baby. I've been applying, the old man is dying, and that's on a daily. I know the truth, do not play me. I got the proof, it's in HD. Light shine, fringes, chosen, different. Fervent heat like a skillet. We've been favored since beginning. We led by the Lord that I mentioned. He coming with heat like an engine. And a sword for the vengeance.
Why? Which vessel am I? I gotta invest on my time. Laying my treasure in heaven. Can't mess with no rapping with demons infesting this mind. This walk is a test of the mind. A lot of things vexing my mind. But I pass the test to be fine. As long as my flesh keep on dying. Yeah. Been a prophet since a youngin'. They can't stop us, no discussion. Made from the dirt, took from the earth. You can say we came from nothing. Marathon ain't no rushing. Choices come with repercussions. Wicked things, I can't touch them. It get hot like an oven when Christ come shake the room. The earth gon' quake and boom. And we on a mission, they can't see the vision. They might need LASIK soon. And he saving Jacob's song. The heat is you facing doom. Our people been moving like zombies. I just pray they awaken soon. What? I'll bring it. I want you to see what you did to me. I'm praying for vengeance. I pray for the end and I pray for the death of my enemies. Man, we ain't the same, ain't no symmetry. You evil like Cain, the wicked seed. If we just refrain from iniquity, and things gon' change, it's written, B.
Which vessel am I? Am I gonna stand until the end, or am I gonna die? Which vessel am I? Am I gonna learn to balance my talents or run out of time? Which vessel am I? Your preacher been lying. We under a curse for a wonder and sign. Repent of your crimes. Seek out the kingdom, you'll find grace in the side of the highs.
All right, shalom, most high in Christ bless. Good morning, Israel. Let's face the day, another day to get it right. Mercy upon us, Father, even a great mercy, for we are undeserving of that mercy, Father, that you destroy us not. We also, Father, thank you for our food, for our drink. We thank you for your protection. We also thank you for your chastisings, Father, for it delivers us to repentance. We ask that you will protect us and forgive us from our sins, Father, those that we commit knowingly and unknowingly. We ask that you protect our leadership. We ask that you protect our families, our wives, and our children. We also ask, Father, that you will continue to strengthen us and build us in these days to come. We ask all these things in the name of Christ our Lord. We thank thee, O Lord. Amen. All right, all right. Shalom, shalom, Most High Christ bless. Good morning, Israel. I know it's early. But welcome to another edition of Daily Bread. I'm Officer Yosef, and to my right,
Soldier St. Amos.
all right, we got Soldier St. Amos in the building. So we're going to get right into it. The topic is heavy is the head that wears the crown. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, right? And the motivation behind this class, we had a class Monday, and something was said, and the question was asked, and that statement came out. And I began to meditate on it because that was heavy. That was a heavy point. And one of the other officers touched on some scriptures. And when I thought of it, I was like, man, that's a heavy point. So that's the motivation behind the class, right? So heavy is the head that wears the crown. What does that mean? I'm going to read something. This phrase implies the great responsibility borne by a king who worries constantly. This phrase also means a person in charge or a leadership role has to bear many responsibilities, and it is a very tough job. These leaders could influence people to do the right things, and they could in turn make them do wrong things. So the phrase heavy is the head that wears the crown is usually attributed to kings, but it can also go for men in leadership positions because that's an important job to do, and you can either provoke the people to glory and honor and righteousness, or you can destroy a people with bad leadership. All right, so let's get into it. Let's get Sirach chapter 10 and verse 1.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 10 and verse 1.
Read.
A wise judge will instruct his people,
So a wise judge or a wise king will instruct his people. Read.
and the government of a prudent man is well ordered.
Read.
As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers.
Right, that's one of the things that will make a leader or a king's head heavy or worried, because as you are, so are the people that you are responsible for. You can never take a day off. Everything that you do is under a microscope, right? That in itself is a burden. Keep reading.
And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein.
Read.
An unwise king destroyeth his people.
So if the leader or the ruler has lack of wisdom, he can destroy the people that he's leading. He can cause far more harm than good. Read.
But through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited.
But likewise, a wise leader or a wise king will bring glory and honor to his people, right? So that's one of the burdens of a leader. Hence the term, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And there's many more facets to that statement, because there's many things that will have a person in leadership's head heavy or concerned, or, you hear that term, your mind is going a mile a minute. Your mind is on many things. And that's usually the mind of a leader. They have many different things that they're constantly dealing with, thinking about, things that worry them, things that may make them afraid, things that may make them anxious. It's not an easy thing being in a leadership position, though some may think it is. All right. So go to 1 Kings chapter 3. 1 Kings chapter 3. And start at verse 5, right? So we're going to get an actual king who was in a leadership position, and let's see if that statement bears any credence to this king. Read what you got.
This is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 3 and verse 5.
Read.
In Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, Ask what I shall give thee.
Read.
And Solomon said, Thou hast showed unto thy servant David, that my father, great mercy, according as he walked before thee in truth, and in righteousness, and in uprightness of heart with thee.
Read.
And thou hast kept from him his great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne,
Read.
as it is this day.
Drop down to verse 9.
Verse 9. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people?
Right. So when Solomon came into his throne, the first thing he asked for was wisdom and understanding to judge God's people, because he understood that as I go, the people go. And we read further on, when Solomon was being wise and he was in the spirit, the kingdom prospered and people came from miles around to witness the wisdom and the glory that was Solomon's kingdom. But when Solomon went off, it ultimately led to the kingdom splitting, and Solomon, by his transgression, destroyed his people. But early on, Solomon understood plainly what it meant to be a king, what it meant to be a leader, what it meant to be a ruler, and the weight that carried. All right, so we're going to drop that. All right, so go to Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 18. And we just kind of touching on some things. We're not in the heat of the class yet, but I just wanted to hit a few points on the topic before we get deep within the lesson. So Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 18. Watch this.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1 and verse 18.
Read.
For in much wisdom is much grief, and he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow.
Right. So one facet of this is the more we read this Bible and the more we begin to understand, the more the Most High deals with us spiritually, the more we understand the oppression of our people and what they go through. The more sorrow you begin to experience, the more heaviness of heart that you begin to have, the more your mind tends to meditate on the things that's going on, right? But also, in a leadership role, the more
is much grief, and he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow.
Right. He that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow. All right. So there's a few things that a good leader or a good king must have, right? The first is a good leader or a good king must have the ability to lead from the front, right? Which is a burden in itself. And I'm going to explain why. Go to Genesis chapter 14. Remember the topic, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And the reason behind this class is some people think that leadership is an easy task, and it's really not an easy task. A lot of people think that they can do it. But if everybody could do it, then everybody will be leaders. Everyone cannot do the job of a leader. It requires an immense amount of focus, an immense amount of discipline, an immense amount of selflessness, right? Let's get Abraham. Read what you got. Genesis chapter 14, start at verse 1.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 14 and verse 1.
Read.
And it came to pass in the days of Amphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Eleazar, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations, that these made war with Beriah, king of Sodom, and with Bershah, king of Gomorrah, and Shinab, king of Admah, and Shemebar, king of Zebedium, and the king of Bela, which is Zoar.
Read.
All these were joined together in the vow of Sidium, which is the Salt Sea.
So in this time of Abraham, these kings went to war with what is known as Sodom and Gomorrah, right? 5 great cities. Read verse 11. Watch this.
Verse 11. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah,
Read.
and all their victuals, and went their way.
Read.
And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed.
Right. So not only did they take and pillage the city and sack the city, but they also took one of Abraham's loved ones. They took his nephew, right? They took his nephew with him, his brother's son, and kidnapped him and took all of his goods. Keep reading.
And there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Ashkol, the brother of Anir, and these were confederate with Abram.
Read.
And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan.
So Abraham didn't sit on his hands. He didn't bark orders and tell his men to go retrieve my nephew and bring back his goods. He armed 318 of his men, and he went out there with them to the battle. Right? He led from the front. He was willing to get his sword dirty, get his hands dirty, and he was ultimately willing to die to recover his nephew with his men. Verse 15.
And he divided himself against them, he and his servants by night.
And his servants by night. Not just his servants. He and his servants were divided by night. Read.
And smote them and pursued them unto Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus.
Read.
And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot, and his goods, and the women also, and the people.
Right. So Abraham risked his very life to go and save not just his nephew, but the people that were with his nephew, and their goods, and their sheep, and their oxen, and all of their items. Right. So that's something that can, because you got to think about, you got to put yourself there. Think about, like, let's say somebody comes to your house and they tell you somebody just kidnapped your nephew, like a warrior tribe or whoever just came and kidnapped your nephew while they were at war with other nations. And you, let's say you laying in bed with your wife. Your wife might tell you, that's not your problem, that's not your war. He knew what he was getting into. Other people may be telling you in your ear, telling you not to go through with it. You may be thinking, well, what will my people think? What will my men think? You know, would I be a coward? There's a multitude of things that's going on in your mind with something like this. And remember, the guy that fled came to Abraham because Abraham was a leader. Abraham was a mighty man. Abraham was a man esteemed highly. So these are the things that may go through a man's head when he's preparing to make a decision for the people, because he himself is esteemed a leader of the people, right? And that's a heavy burden to bear. All right, let's go to Exodus 18 and 13. Let's get some more. Exodus chapter 18 and start at verse 13. And we're going to read down to about 18. Read.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 18 and verse 13.
Read.
And it came to pass on the morrow that Moses sat to judge the people, and the people stood by Moses from the morning unto the evening.
Read.
And when Moses' father-in-law saw all that he did to the people, he said, what is this thing that thou doest to the people? Why sittest thou thyself alone, and all the people stand by thee from morning unto even?
So his father-in-law said, why do you do this thing alone? Showing you that Moses was doing the work, and without complaint at that. And we're talking about, he was out here judging hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people by himself, alone, every day. And his father-in-law saw this, right? So he had a question for him. He had some advice to give his son-in-law to bear this burden, right? Because he's in the seat of a leader. And he has to bear the burden of the entire congregation of Israel by himself. All right, read.
And Moses said unto his father-in-law, because the people come unto me to inquire of God.
They want to know about God. And they come to me. I've been placed. They've been placed in my care. Read.
When they have a matter, they come unto me, and I judge between one and another. And I do make them know the statutes of God and his laws.
Read.
And Moses' father-in-law said unto him, the thing that thou doest is not good.
Read.
Thou wilt surely wear away.
You're going to waste away. Read.
Both thou and this people that is with thee.
Read.
For this thing is too heavy for thee.
Read that again.
For this thing is too heavy for thee.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown, right? A person in leadership has a burden to carry, and they can't do it alone. They need the people to help them carry that burden. this is what Moses' father-in-law Jethro is explaining to Moses. You know, if you continue to bear this by yourself, I understand you're a leader of the people, but if you continue to bear this by yourself, you're gonna waste away, and ultimately the people gonna waste away as well. You need help. You know, you need help. Read.
Thou art not able to perform it thyself alone.
Right, you're not able to do this alone. You're going to need other people, trusted people, to help you bear this burden. Right, so a good leader understands he needs people. He needs the people to help him bear that burden. Right, because ultimately, when things go good, everyone exalts the leader, everyone exalts the king, whoever the face of it is. That's who they all see when everything is going good. But when things are going bad, whoever's at the forefront of it gets the blame, even if it's not their fault. All right, drop that. Get me 1 Samuel 18 and 16. Right, leaders lead from the front. Kings lead from the front. They're always putting their hand to the plow first. Right, they're always doing the things that they expect their men to do, not separate of the things they expect their men to do. All right. One thing for those people, I don't know if everybody watches Game of Thrones, but it was a guy, what's the dude name? Ned Stark. Like, everybody respected this man and loved this man because not only did he care for his people and his men, but he said something. He who passes the judgment swings the sword. Meaning you lead from the front. You don't do anything that you wouldn't expect. You don't have your men do something that you wouldn't do yourself, right? And everybody respected and loved that man. But what's the blonde king? I can't remember his name. But when he sat on the throne, little young kid, he didn't even want to go out to war with his people. You know, he ran and hid. You know, and the people didn't respect him. So a good leader or a good king has the obligation to lead from the front, not from the rear. Read what you got.
This is the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 18 and verse 16.
Read.
But all Israel and Judah loved David
Read.
because he went out and came in before them.
So David did the work. David was a warrior king. He went out. He put people to death. He might have put just as many, if not more, people to death in war as his mighty men. That's why he was known as David and his mighty men. David didn't play around. When David was there, or when David went out, everyone understood what time it was. And David didn't expect his men to do anything that he himself wasn't able or willing himself to do, which is the mark of a good leader. But that in itself comes with a burden, because you always have to be cognizant of what everyone's thoughts about you are. You know, you can't be a hypocrite. You cannot be a hypocrite, because your men that you're leading, they depend on you. Their heart literally depends on you, right? Let's get another example, right? So David's men loved him because he did the work. You know, he did what was expected of him as a leader, and they all was willing to follow him even to death. Watch this. Let's get another example of him later in his life. Go to 2 Samuel chapter 21 and verse 15. 2 Samuel chapter 21 and verse 15. Watch what happens when the people love and respect the leader or the king that's over them, and how he leads from the front. Watch what happens even later in David's life. Read what you got.
This is the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 21 and verse 15.
Read.
Moreover, the Philistines had yet war again with Israel.
Read.
And David went down, and his servants with him, and fought against the Philistines, and David waxed faint.
Right, so David was getting older, man. David wasn't as strong as he was in his youth. You know, he got tired. You know, he tired out faster. You know, the muscles wasn't as good as they once were when he was killing his 10,000s, right? Read.
And Ishbibbenab, which was of the sons of the giant, the weight of whose spear weighed 300 shekels, and 300 shekels of brass in weight. He, being girded with a new sword, thought to have slain David.
So one of the giants of the Philistines thought to kill David. They saw an opening. He's weak. Everyone knows the fame of David. Let me go ahead and get some fame by slaying the man that killed. It may be a relative. You know, this says one of the giants. So this may be one of Goliath's relatives, right? Let me go ahead and get a name off of the man that killed somebody that was near and dear to me. Read.
But Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, succored him and smote the Philistine and killed him.
Read.
Then the men of David swore unto him, saying, Thou shalt go no more out with us to battle.
You hear this? David, even in his later years, when he wasn't able to fight as good as he was, still went out to battle with his men. He would rather go out here and die with his men than give order from his comfortable castle, his comfortable throne, when he got men out there fighting and dying on his behalf, right? But they love David so much, you can't go out with us no more to battle. We know what you're about. We understand, where your heart is, and we know, all your works and things like that. But you can't do this no more. And watch what he say. Why they wouldn't suffer David to go out to battle with him no more. Read.
That thou quench not the light of Israel.
Right. You can't die out here. If you die out here, it'll literally break Israel. You'll have us mourning. You'll quench the spirit behind the people. Right. That's that's a thing that will make a king's crown heavy. The weight of that, what I'm saying? The weight that everything that I do has a consequence to it. Even dying out here on the battlefield with my men can have a consequence to it, right? So drop that. So, good segue to the next point. A good king, one of the things that will make his mind heavy is, well, his mind always has to be towards the people, in spite of the things that they do, no matter how evil they may be, no matter how sick they may be. He always has to have his mind on the people. He has to be a servant to the people. Go to Exodus chapter 2 and verse 11. I'm sorry, Exodus 2 and 11. My apologies. Exodus chapter 2, verse 11. Watch this.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 2 and verse 11.
11 and 12.
And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown that he went out unto his brethren and looked on their burdens.
Right, so Moses went out and looked on the suffering of his brother, his brothers, the children of Israel. It grieved his spirit. Read.
And he spied an Egyptian smiting an Hebrew, one of his brethren.
Read.
And he looked this way and that way. And when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand.
Right. So because of the thing that he saw happening to his brother, he took it upon himself to avenge his brother. Right. Now, I want you to keep the name of the class in mind. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. And remember, Moses was willing to ultimately risk his life for his people, as was David, as was many other noble leaders, kings, and they didn't get a fair deal a lot of times, right? But remember, Moses was willing to die for his people. And when we read further, they were about to expose Moses to get him put to death, which ultimately led to him fleeing, right? We'll touch on that later in the class. Go to Hebrews chapter 11 and 24. Right? Many times we have to understand that at times being a leader can be a thankless job a lot of times. Not always, because there are people that can appreciate a good king or a good leader. But a lot of times, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Many times, a lack of understanding will cause people to despise even a good king, right? Read what you got.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 11 and verse 24.
Read.
By faith, Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God.
So Moses rather suffer with the Israelites, with his brethren, read,
than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season.
Because Moses could have just laid back in the palace of Pharaoh and lived out the rest of his days with money, women, the finest clothes, the best foods, the best education, and then died in a good old age and been known as one of the great people of Egypt. He could have did that. And many of us would have. Many of us would have did that. Many of us wouldn't have did this thing that Moses did. You know how you understand that? Because a lot of celebrities can't do this. They can't give up their wealth and their status to suffer with their people. Not all. There's some out there that can, and there's some out there who will. But many of us, even including myself, I'm speaking to myself, I can't say that I would be willing to do this if I was at a certain status in life, maybe I could. I don't know. But
Approach of Christ's great Egypt, for he had respect unto the recompense of the reward.
right, he had respect unto the kingdom of heaven. He understood what the reward ultimately was, and he was willing to risk his life for his people and for his God. Right? Maccabees, First Maccabees 3. First Maccabees chapter 3. Right, and this is for brothers that are in leadership position that perhaps don't understand what that entails, and also for brothers who may think that they deserve leadership position or rank or whatever the case may be. You have to understand what that entails or what that's about. It's a responsibility. It's not about the fancy cup or the seat at the table, the seat at the big table, or the fancy garment and everything. It's those things are nice. Those things are good and they have their place. But leadership, to be a king or to be a leader or a ruler means that you have a great responsibility toward the people. And you can destroy those people. You can harm those people, and those are God's people. And you can destroy yourself. Read what you got.
This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 3 and verse 1.
Read.
Then his son Judas, called Maccabees, rose up in his stead, and all his brethren.
First Maccabees 3 and 42. My apologies. You got that? I gave you the wrong one. First Maccabees 3 and 42.
Verse 42.
Read.
Now when Judas and his brethren saw the miseries were multiplied, and that the forces did encamp themselves in their borders, for they knew how the king had given commandment to destroy the people and utterly abolish them. They said one to another, let us restore the decayed estate of our people.
Right. So these men, we all know the story of the Maccabees, how they were willing to, starting with their father, Mattathias, was willing to ultimately risk his life so that for the laws of God, for the heritage of God, the same spirit was imparted to his sons, that they would rather die for the people and for their laws rather than let their people be destroyed. They understood that. They understood the burden that they would undertake, the task that they had to undertake, and they were with it. They understood what it meant. You might not see a family. You may have a wife that you won't see no more. You may have children that you won't see no more. Your children may die. Your wife may die. Any riches or things that you had, you don't have those things no more. Any comforts and amenities that you had, you don't have those things anymore because your mind is toward the people. That's the sacrifice that you got to be willing to make as a leader, as a king, right? Keep reading.
And let us fight for our people.
Fight for our what?
Our people.
Read.
And the sanctuary.
And our laws and our God. Right? Let us fight for our people. Let us fight for our God. Right? Matthew chapter 9, verse 35. Let's get Christ now, right? Because that's probably the most profound example we have about a person who had a mind toward the people, right? Matthew chapter 9 and verse 35. And we're going to read down to about 36. You got it?
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 9 and verse 35. For I am come to set a man at variance.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that what I want? I'm on the wrong spot. Yeah. Matthew 9 and 35.
Matthew chapter 9, verse 35.
Read.
And Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom.
Read.
And healing every sickness and every disease among the people.
Read that part again. And healing every
and
sickness.
Healing every sickness and every disease among the people.
Now you gotta put yourself there. You gotta think. Thousands of people came from miles around to see Christ. And Christ sat there in a whole city, in a village, teaching them. And then afterward, he healed all of their sicknesses and their diseases amongst them. Right? That's a person that embodies selflessness. Right? That's a person that embodies having a mind toward their people, not just to themselves. Read verse 36.
But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion on them.
Right. And when he saw his people, he was moved with compassion on his people. A good leader or a good king must have compassion on his people. And in doing that, that's another thing that will cause heaviness of mind. Back to the point, heavy is the head that wears the crown, meaning heaviness of mind. You know what I'm saying? That these are things that a leader or a king has to think about. He has to think about the people. He has to have compassion for the various ailments that are affecting the people, regardless of what they are, regardless if you yourself are struggling with them or not. You know, today, what's that? That's called empathy. You know, a leader has to be empathetic of what's going on with the people, even if he himself may not be battling with that thing. You know, he has to care to help the brother or the sister that is battling with that thing. Read that again.
But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion.
He said he was moved with compassion, or he couldn't help but have compassion on him. Read.
Because they fainted and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd.
Because they had no leadership. They had no king. They had no guidance. They had nobody to show them the right way. That's how important a good leader or a good king is to people. And it also is how critical and how much responsibility a good leader has, right? All right, go to Matthew 14. Matthew chapter 14 and start at verse 13, I think. Matthew chapter 14, verse 13.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 14 and verse 13.
Right, so to give you the backstory, this is after John the Baptist was put to death. Read.
And Jesus went forth and saw a great multitude and was moved with compassion toward them, and he healed their sick.
Read.
And when it was evening, his disciples came to him, saying, This is a desert place, and the time is now past. Send the multitude away, that they may go into villages and buy themselves victuals.
Read.
But Jesus said unto them, They need not depart. Give ye them to eat.
Right. So Jesus, after having compassion on them and healing them, now he's about to feed the people. Read.
And they say unto him, We have here but 5 loaves and 2 fishes.
Read.
He said, Bring them hither to me.
Don't even trip. Bring it to me. Read.
And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the grass, and took the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and brake, and gave the loaves to his disciples, and the disciples to the multitude.
Read.
And they did all eat and were filled. And they took up of the fragments that remained 12 baskets
Right.
full.
So think about it for those who are in leadership positions, and for those who aspire to be leaders, and for those who think that they can be leaders, right? Ask yourself this question. If you were, let's say you have a congregation, right? Let's say there's a congregation and you have food at your house, and all of the members in your congregation are hungry. All of them are hungry. Would you have the heart or mind to feed your entire congregation if it were your power to do so? Now, we know none of us is, turning 5 loaves and 2 fish into enough to feed 4,000 or 5,000 people. But essentially, a leader has to be selfless with his resources. Christ addressed that when he said, Paul addressed that in Timothy, where he said a bishop must be given to hospitality, right? You got to be willing to loose your goods for your people if at a moment's notice they need it, right? Now, that doesn't mean bleed yourself dry, or cause yourself to go without, or your family without. But, if you have it to give, and you're a leader, your job is to deal with the congregation. They all was given unto your care. If they need to eat, we got to figure out how they need to eat. If they need to drink, we need to figure out how they going to drink, right? If they need care or they sick, we need to figure out how to get them some care. If they're cold, we need to figure out how to get them some clothes, right? It's a lot that goes into dealing with the people. Right? Give me Luke chapter 7. Right, one of the examples we got is for years the bishop has been telling people and guiding the people to stock up, stock up your pantries, stock up your pantries at your school, stock up your pantries at your house. Why is it that you think that that's been pushed? It's because at a moment's notice, you know, you may need to help somebody, right? You can't just stock up for just you and your family. So y'all hunker down and y'all good. You got to have the mind to, especially you leaders, you got to have the mind to store up for multiple families, you know, where you will be able to not just provide for you and your family, but you can provide for 2, 3, 4, 5 other families if they need to hunker down with you. That's the mind that we got to have as leaders. All right, read what you got. Luke chapter 7 and 11.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 7 and verse 11.
Read.
And it came to pass the day after that he went into a city called Nain, and many of his disciples went with him,
Read.
and much people. Now when he came nigh to the gate of the city, behold, there was a dead man carried out, the only son of his mother, and she was a widow, and much people of the city was with her. And when the Lord saw her, he had compassion on her.
Read that again.
And when the Lord saw her, he had compassion on her, and said unto her, weep not.
Right. Going into when a brother or sister comes to you with a problem. Now, this is a severe problem. You know, her son died. You know, she was heavy. But it could be something that maybe a brother is struggling with. You know, he's not able to, you know, deal with his wife. And he's coming to you with that. That's a problem. You know, you can't laugh that brother off, or you can't treat that as it's not a serious issue, because it's a serious issue to him, or it's a serious issue to her, right? That's an issue. That's a problem. We got to deal with that. We got to help them, right? So Christ said to this woman that came to him with an issue, he didn't just shun her off and be like, oh, that's your problem. No, he had compassion on her. He told her, don't cry, don't weep. Read.
And when he came and touched the bier, they that bare him stood still. And he said, young man, I say unto thee, arise.
Read.
And he that was dead sat up and began to speak. And he delivered him to his mother.
Read.
And there came a fear on all, and they glorified God, saying that a great prophet is risen among us, and that God hath visited his people.
Right. So when a leader is moving in the right spirit and dealing with the people properly, the people glorify God, right? The people glorify God. Think about when we went to Detroit and we marched through the city. There were people, multitudes of people that were watching in awe. There were multiple people that were crying for what they saw, because at that moment, they was like, God just visited us. God just visited us. Surely these are the men of God. And God just sent these men to give us hope. You know, that's the power that you men hold as leaders if you roll in the right spirit. But you also have the power to destroy your communities and destroy your people. And we see that with things like the entertainers that will influence and power, and the community is in shambles. Our sisters are killing their babies. Our men are selling drugs and shooting up the corners, you know, because of the influence that bad leaders have over them. Right. So we have a job to do as leaders, and it's not an easy one. It's a very difficult task, and it's one that a lot of times is going to come with almost no immediate, what's the word I'm looking for? Gratification. You know, people are not going to readily say, good job. You can't do it for a good job or a pat on the back, man. You got to do it because you love God and your people. John 21 and 14. John 21 and 14. You know, because we all want to get a good job. You know, we all want to feel like we're doing something that's benefiting the status quo, right? We all want to, you know, be acknowledged for the good that we do, right? But, you know, that's not always the case. You know, that's not always the case in a leadership position, right? That's another thing that, you know, another thing to think about. Read what you got.
This is the book of John, chapter 21 and verse 14.
Read.
This is now the third time that Jesus showed himself to his disciples after that he was risen from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
So when they had dined, Jesus saith to Simon Peter, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me?
You love me, Peter? You love me? Read.
More than these?
Mm-hmm.
He saith unto him, Yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee.
Read.
He saith unto him, Feed my lambs.
Look out for my people. You hear that? Deal with my people. If you love me, deal with the people. Love the people. Have compassion on the people. Have a mind towards the people. That's your task, Peter. That's your burden. You know, you a leader. You the head of the disciples. You the lead apostle. You the top guy. When I go, you the guy in charge. You got the burden of leading and dealing with the people. That's your burden now. And they gonna make it hard for you. They gonna do evil to you, but that's your job. You know, you about to wear this heavy crown upon your head. You about to bear that thing. You ready for it? Feed my people. Read.
He saith to him again the second time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me?
Mm-hmm.
He saith unto him, Yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee.
Read.
He saith unto him, Feed my sheep.
He said it again, showing you how important it is for a leader to deal and have a mind toward the people. Read.
He saith unto him the third time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me?
Read.
Peter was grieved because he said unto him the third time, Lovest thou me?
Mm-hmm.
And he said unto him, Lord, thou knowest all things.
Read.
Thou knowest that I love thee. Jesus said unto him, Feed my sheep.
Right. So he had to establish it 3 times to Peter that, you know, deal with the people. You know, you in a leadership position. You said you're going to die for it, right, Peter? All right. Now I'm about to put you to the test. Feed my lambs. Feed my people. Feed them the word. Teach them. Deal with them, you know, and let the chips fall where they may, you know. Like I said, he didn't tell Peter, make sure the people look out for you, Peter. He didn't say, of all these hundreds of thousands and millions of people, make sure they taking care of you, Peter. No, he told one man, make sure you take care of these hundreds of thousands and millions of people. You take care of them. You do that. That's your job. Right? I dropped that. All right. So another thing that would cause a heaviness of mind in a leadership role is you're going to endure hatred a lot of times from the people that you lead. And a lot of times it's because of envy. I said earlier that sometimes brothers, even sisters, think that they can do a better job in a leadership position. And we see that a lot in Israel too, is where brothers will think that they should have the top spot, or they should be at the leadership table, or they should be teaching the most at camp. You know, we see these things all the time. And God addresses that spirit, right? God addresses that spirit. Go to Jeremiah chapter 9. Watch this. Jeremiah chapter 9. Watch this. Don't forget the point. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. This is another reason that will bring a leader, a ruler, a king's mind to sorrow or to heaviness. Read. Verse 4.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 9 and verse 4.
Read.
Take ye heed, every one of his neighbor,
Read.
and trust ye not in any brother.
Read.
For every brother will utterly supplant.
Read that part again.
For every brother will utterly supplant.
So God says everybody wants the top spot. And everybody, if under the right circumstance, will seek to acquire your spot. Everybody want to be the king. Everybody want to be the top guy. Everybody want to be the HNIC. Right? Read.
And every neighbor will walk with slander.
And a lot of times people will go about it in an evil manner by slandering you, right? By talking ish about the head guy in charge so that they acquire that leadership position. You know, this, he, if I was, in charge, I would, teach every day. I had, school open every day and we'd be doing class every day. Or if I was in charge, we'd go to camp every day. Or if I was in charge, I'd give everybody arms. I wouldn't tell nobody no arms, right? Not understanding that if you were the guy, God will have you in the place of the guy because promotion comes of the Lord. But also, there's so much more that goes into leading and guiding a people, and everything is not just black and white. It's not as simple as, what it seems, right? Nor is it as easy to do. as people may think it is, right? So the Bible says that every brother will utterly supplant and walk with slanders. Go to 2 Samuel 15. 2 Samuel chapter 15. Right? So King David, right? Let's see if this applied to when he was the top guy, when he was a king. Right? Let's see if he or people attempted to supplant King David. Read what you got. Start at verse 1.
This is the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 15 and verse 1.
Read.
And it came to pass after this that Absalom prepared his chariots and horses and 50 men to run before him.
Mm-hmm.
And Absalom rose up early and stood beside the way of the gate. And it was so that when any man that had a controversy came to the king for judgment, then Absalom called unto him and said, Of what city art thou? And he said, Thy servant is one of the tribes of Israel.
So remember, the people were going to the king for judgment. They had matters and issues or controversies that they wanted the king to solve. But when they would go to King David, Absalom, King David's son, would halt them in their way and deal with the people. He wouldn't let them get to the king. He would intercept them. Read on.
And Absalom said unto him, See, thy matters are good and right.
I understand exactly what you're going through. You know, I get that. And you're right. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. Read.
But there is no man deputed of the king to hear thee.
Read. But there's nobody under the king that may hear your matter. You hear what he's saying? There's nobody deputed of the king to hear the matter. It's the king's supposed to hear the matter. The king is supposed to judge the matter. The king is in the judgment seat. He's the leader, not you, right? But this where these smooth words and supplanting the authority comes into play when a person thinks that they will make a good leader or a better leader than the guy that's actually in charge. Read.
Verse 4. Absalom said, Moreover, oh, that I were made judge.
You hear
in
this?
the land.
Oh, that I were the king. Oh, that I were made the ruler over the land. Read.
That every man which hath any suit or cause might come unto me, and I would do him justice.
And if they came to me, I would do him justice. I would do him right. I would be a good king. I would be a better king than my father. I would be a better leader than the guy that's set up as a leader. Read.
And it was so that when any man came nigh to him to do him obeisance, he put forth his hand and took him and kissed him. And on this manner did Absalom to all Israel that came to the king for judgment.
Read.
So
read that part again.
And on this manner
read.
Did Absalom to all Israel that came to the king for judgment.
So everybody that came to the king for judgment, Absalom intercepted and stole their hearts. He deceived them into thinking or manipulated them into following after him because he desired the head spot. He desired to supplant his father. Read.
So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel.
So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel.
And it came to pass after 40 years that Absalom said unto the king, I pray thee, let me go and pay my vow, which I have vowed unto the Lord in Hebron.
Read.
For thy servant vowed a vow while I abode in Geshur in Syria, saying, if the Lord shall bring me again indeed to Jerusalem, then I will serve the Lord.
Read.
And the king said unto him, go in peace.
Read.
So he arose and went to Hebron. But Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, as soon as ye hear the sound of the trumpet, then ye shall say, Absalom reigneth in Hebron. And when Absalom went 200
Say that again. Read that. So it said Absalom had the people announce that Absalom is the king over Israel, and he reigns in Hebron. Right. So there's a new king in Israel, and it's Absalom, not King David. Right now is where Absalom sought to put his plan into action to usurp the throne, to usurp his father's authority. Read.
And when Absalom went, 200 men out of Jerusalem that were called, and they went in their simplicity, and they knew not anything, And Absalom sent for Ahithophel, the Gileadite, David's counselor, from his city, even from Gilo, while he offered sacrifices, and the conspiracy was strong.
And the conspiracy was strong. The conspiracy to supplant David, his father, was very strong, meaning it had a good chance of success. Read.
For the people increased continually with Absalom.
Read.
And there came a messenger to David, saying, the hearts of the men of Israel are after Absalom.
Read.
And David said unto all his servants that were with him at Jerusalem,
Read.
arise and let us flee.
We got to run. We got to depart. We got to leave. This is a king we talking about. You know, this is a king who is preparing himself to flee from the hand of his son, because he understands his son will kill him to seize his throne. Right? You know, so when in leadership, one thing that men also understand is everybody doesn't love who's in the lead spot, and many people will seek to supplant the person that's in the lead spot, even if it means getting that person put to death. That's a whole different level of hatred, you know. So that's another burden that a ruler or a leader or a king has to bear. That's another thought, another potential thought that will lead to heaviness of mind for a ruler or for a leader or for a king, is that someone who may want their spot may be willing to kill them for that spot. And we've witnessed that in Israel. Many brothers that left up out of here wanted or thought that they were greater than they were, and slandered leadership, wished death upon leadership, even tried to get leadership put in prison, accused leadership of things that weren't true, because they feigned themselves leaders of the people. They feigned themselves people that could steal the hearts of Israel. Right? Keep reading.
Arise and let us flee, for we shall not else escape from Absalom. Make speed to depart, lest he overtake.
You know it's going to come. Even if you're a good leader, you know, a lot of times a good leader gets hatred from his own people. Matter of fact, if you were a good leader, more than likely you're going to receive some hatred from your people, because a good leader has a good sense of justice and balance and judgment. And everybody's not going to like that judgment. Everyone's not going to like that justice. All right, read.
This is the book of Numbers, chapter 12 and verse 1.
Read.
And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married.
Mm-hmm.
For he had married an Ethiopian woman.
Right, so Miriam and Aaron started to speak against Moses. Remember, early back when we was talking about David and Moses willing to work hard for the people and lead from the front and sacrifice their time and their energy for their people. And none of the people that they were leading were willing to do those things. But a lot of the people that they were leading wanted their spot. A lot of people that David was leading wanted David's spot. A lot of people that Moses was leading wanted Moses' spot. Miriam and Aaron were of those people. Read.
And they said, hath the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses? Hath he not spoken also by us?
You know, God dealing with us too, right? He not just dealing with Moses. He dealing with us too, right? Read.
And the Lord heard it. Now the man Moses was very meek.
Right, meaning he was humble. He didn't care about the lead spot. He understood he was put there by God, and he had a job to do. He had a responsibility that he owed to the people. Read.
Above all the men which were upon the face of the earth.
Read.
And the Lord spake suddenly unto Moses and unto Aaron and unto Miriam, come out ye three unto the tabernacle of the congregation. And they three came out.
Read.
And the Lord came down in the pillar of the cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth.
Read.
And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream.
Read.
My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all mine house.
Clearly, Moses is not who I've chosen. Clearly, Moses is not a good enough leader. He hasn't risked his life enough for you all. He hasn't fed you in the wilderness. He hasn't given you drink in the wilderness. You know, all these things he did by my hand, but clearly he's not good enough of a leader that you speaking against him. Read.
With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches. In the similitude of the Lord shall he behold. Wherefore then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?
Because Moses was hated. Moses was hated by the people that he was leading. And we're gonna get more. Yeah. Right. So drop that, right? The Moses, the servant, God judged her wicked behind. You know, so sisters, be careful when you speak against the men of the Lord, because you may find yourself in God's crosshairs and he might judge your wicked behind. All right. Drop down to verse 13.
Verse 13. And Moses cried unto the Lord, saying, heal her now, O God, I beseech thee.
And after all that, Moses still prayed for the sister who spoke much evil of him. And even to the point to try to accuse him of something that they understood plainly, according to the law, would get Moses put to death. Think about if that slander went throughout the camp and all the people rallied behind that thing. Yeah, Moses married a heathen woman and God don't like that. Let's kill him. Like, you got to think about these things. They could have got Moses put to death for that thing that God had already accepted because of where Moses was during the time and he wasn't around his people. God had already accepted that and had mercy on Moses. But because of a lack of understanding, Miriam and Aaron could have got Moses killed. They could have got him put to death. And those are the things that people who think that they deserve the top spot, they don't consider those things. They don't have a mind toward the people. They only have a mind towards whatever their lust or whatever vanity that they want to grasp at. All right, let's get another example of that, right? Usurpers, you know, we call them. Go to Numbers chapter 16. Many of us are familiar with this story of Korah, right? Well, watch this. It's a point that I want out of there because Israel wicked, man. You know, Israel wicked as hell. You know, Israel is evil as hell. Read what you got. Start at verse 1.
This is the book of Numbers, chapter 16 and verse 1.
Read.
Now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, and Dathan, and Ibram, the sons of Eliab, and on the son of Peloth, sons of Reuben, took men, and they rose up before Moses with certain of the children of Israel, 250 princes of the assembly, famous in the congregation.
So these weren't light men. These were, to put it in perspective, let's say these men have rank in the congregation. These are, let's say, captains and high-ranking officers and things like that, right? These are famous men, men of renown amongst the congregation. They have position. They have leadership. They have some form of rulership amongst the people, but it's not enough. They're not content with their place. They want the top spot. Read.
Famous in the congregation, men of renown.
Read.
And they gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron.
And they gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron, against the two top guys they gathered themselves against. And they had position, they had rank. Sound familiar? We've had brothers amongst us who were famous men, men of renown, high-ranking men that rose up against the leaders of the congregation because they thought that they deserved the top spot, right? They had that envy on them. They had that spirit to supplant their brother and walk with slanders to do it. Read.
And they gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron and said unto them, ye take too much upon you.
You take too much on you, man. You think you a hot shot. You think you the guy, right? You took the leadership position. You took the high spot. God didn't give that to you. God didn't promote that to you. You gave yourself that. Read.
Seeing all the congregation are holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them, wherefore then lift ye up yourselves above the congregation of the Lord.
Right. Korah said, you lifted and exalted yourself in the congregation. God didn't set you up. This is the thing that a foolish leader would do. A foolish man in a leadership position will accuse another leader who's in a top position of setting himself up. right? Not realizing that the scriptures say promotion comes of the Lord, right? God is the one that sets up leader, even an evil leader. Perhaps one example, because God set up Korah, but was it for his honor and his glory or his destruction? Keep reading.
And when Moses heard it, he fell upon his face. And he spake unto Korah and unto all his company, saying, even tomorrow the Lord will show who are his and who is holy,
Read.
and will cause him to come near unto him.
Read.
Even him whom he hath chosen will he cause to come near unto him.
Read.
This do, take your censers, Korah, and all his company, and put fire therein, and put incense in them before the Lord tomorrow. And it shall be that the man who the Lord doth choose, he shall be holy. Ye take too much upon you, ye sons of Levi.
He told them, you think you can lead the top spot. You think you can be the guy. You think you understand what it means to lead God's people and this great people. You think you understand the burden of it. You take too much on you, sons of Levi. You ain't ready for the burden of this. You don't understand what this spot means. But I digress. Let's see. Maybe you do. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe you do. If God deal with it this way, then you the ones that's holy and you got the top spot. But if not, let the chips fall where they may. Drop down to verse 28.
Verse 28. And Moses said, hereby ye shall know that the Lord hath sent me to do all these works.
Not that I set myself up, but God sent me. This how we going to know God sent me. Read.
For I have not done them of my own mind.
Mm-hmm.
If these men die, the common death of all men, or if they be visited after the visitation of all men, then the Lord hath not sent me. But if the Lord make a new thing, and the earth open her mouth, and swallow them up with all that appertaineth unto them, and they go down quick into the pit, then ye shall understand that these men have provoked the Lord.
Right. So he said, if these men die a new kind of death and the ground eats them, you'll understand that I didn't set myself up. I didn't take on anything. As a matter of fact, Moses tried to run from the responsibility that God was trying to give him. He didn't want it. Korah want that thing, or at least he thinks he wanted. So he said, if these men die a new kind of death, you'll know that God sent me, and these evil men have provoked the Lord to anger, to their shame, to their destruction. Verse 31.
And it came to pass, as he had made an end of speaking all these words, that the ground clave asunder that was under them. And the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them.
Set themselves up. So after God, Moses said, to all the people, if God kills these people by the ground opening up, God did send me and God destroyed these people. Now, before this, nobody saw the ground open up and swallow the people and then close back up. So everybody understood that God did this. But I want you to see the mind of the people, to how much hatred they had for Moses and for Aaron, even though they understood that Moses and Aaron weren't in control of these things. Read verse 41.
Verse 41. But on the morrow, all the congregation of the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron, saying, ye have killed the people of the Lord.
They said, you killed the people of the Lord, Moses. You did that. They completely bypassed the fact that Korah and those 200 men and all the people that was with him was evil as hell and sought to overthrow and usurp Moses and Aaron, even if it meant killing them, right? They overlooked that and said Moses and Aaron killed those people. Those are the people of God. Those weren't the people of God. Those were the people of the devil. They were the devil. They hated Moses. They hated the people. They weren't trying to set themselves up and establish themselves as leaders because they loved the people. They wanted position. They wanted to supplant the leadership and set themselves up as the guys, right? But the people said, you killed the people of the Lord. Read.
And it came to pass when the congregation was gathered against Moses and against Aaron, that they looked toward the tabernacle of the congregation, and behold, the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord appeared.
Read.
And Moses and Aaron came before the tabernacle of the congregation. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, get ye up from among this congregation, that I may consume them as as in a moment.
God was about to kill them all. God was about to put them all to death. Read.
And they fell upon their faces. And Moses said unto Aaron, take a censer and put fire therein from off the altar, and put on incense, and go quickly unto the congregation, and make an atonement for them. For there is wrath gone out from the Lord. The plague is begun.
God began to kill these wicked men and women that just sat up there and spoke against Moses and were about ready to kill Moses and Aaron because of what some wicked men was about to do. Right? And God was about to put them all to death. And even in that moment, Moses said, go get some incense, go get some fire, quickly, hurry. God's about to put them to death. Matter of fact, he already killing them. They dropping like flies. Read.
And Aaron took as Moses commanded, and ran into the midst of the congregation. And behold, the plague was begun among the people.
Read.
And he put on incense and made an atonement for the people.
Right. So you got to put yourself there. Aaron is hastily grabbing this stuff and running before the plague, trying to get to it before it gets to the people and puts them to death. The only thing that's standing between sudden death and the patriarchs had the burden of, because many of us would have at that moment said, screw these people, kill them. I don't give a damn. They wicked. Many of us would have had hatred towards our people. But the mindset of Moses was he never sought the destruction of his people. Even in their wickedest moments, he sought his people's repentance. He didn't want to see them die, no matter how wicked they were. So that's another thing, because Moses had to watch them people die. He loved those people in spite of the fact that they were evil as hell. He had to watch those people die, and he did what he could to save as many of those people alive, because God was going to, if Aaron didn't get there, God might have wiped out 200,000 of them, right? Drop that. Go to Matthew chapter 11, verse 18. Watch what they say about John the Baptist and Christ. Read what you got.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 11, and verse 18.
Read.
For John came neither eating nor drinking,
Read.
and they say he hath a devil.
So when John the Baptist came on the scene, they said he didn't eat meat, he didn't drink wine, he ate locusts and wild honey. He was I don't want to say a vegan, I know how people feel about that thing, but John might have been a vegan, man, for them vegan brothers out there, them vegan sisters out there, right? But John came with the vegan life, and they said my man had a devil, right? Read.
The Son of Man came eating and drinking.
Christ, he wasn't on that vegan stuff, man. For them vegan brothers and them vegan sisters, man. Shout out to the vegan brothers and vegan sisters, man. I'm just cracking jokes, man. Do your thing, man. But still though, Christ wasn't on that vegan life, man. He came eating and he came drinking wine, the blood of the grape. Read.
And they say, behold, a man gluttonous and a wine bibber.
You hear this? So you can't win for losing with Israel. When you in a leadership position, you could come on the vegan life. You ain't eating no animals. You ain't drinking no milk. You know what I'm saying? You got 100% health body. And Israel say you got a devil on you. This man got the devil on him because he ain't trying to eat no lamb. He ain't trying to eat no meat. But Christ came. He came eating the meat. He came drinking the blood of the grape. And they called my man a glutton and a wine, but they called him greedy and a drunkard, basically. Showing that no matter what, when you're in a leadership position in Israel, you could be a good leader. You could have love for the people, and they'll hate you, right? They'll hate you. All right, drop that. Go to. All right, we gonna drop that because we could ride that all day. All right. So another point. Matter of fact, one more. All right, go to Matthew chapter 27. Let's get to 28. 22. Let's get to the point, right? Because I don't want to take too much time on this. Right? So going to when Christ was to be crucified, right? A leader must endure hatred for the people that they're leading, and probably no bigger example is this. Read what you got.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 27, and verse 22.
Read.
Pilate saith unto them, what shall I do then with Jesus, which is called Christ. They all say unto him, let him be crucified.
They wanted this man to be killed, and he had done nothing wrong. And they knew he did nothing wrong, right? Christ was a class act, did that which was good, fed his people, healed the sick, healed the blind, cured the brokenhearted. He fed 5,000, fed 4,000, walked on water, raised people from the dead, and they wanted this man to die. They wanted this man blood to be spilled. Read.
And the governor said, why? What evil hath he done?
That's how you know that Israel was being the super devil, because the devil said, hold on. It's my job to put y'all to death. It's my job to bring y'all up on fallacious charges and get y'all put to death. But for some reason, this man, I couldn't bring up fallacious charges if I wanted to. This guy's just too good to be true. Why y'all want to kill him? Read.
But they cried out the more, saying, let him be crucified.
Read.
When Pilate saw that he could not prevail nothing, but that rather a tumult was made, he took water and washed his hands before the multitude.
I'm good, man. Y'all got it. Y'all do y'all thing. Read.
Saying, I am innocent of the blood of this just person.
I don't got nothing to do with what y'all about to do. This guy ain't guilty. Y'all about to do some evil. That the devil is saying what y'all about to do is evil. That's how you know how evil Israel can be to the leaders of the people that really care about them. Right? Keep reading.
See ye to it.
Y'all get to it. Read.
Then answered all the people and said, his blood be on us and on our children.
That's a hell of a thing to say to a man that fed you and clothed you and healed you. Kill him, his blood be on us and on our children. That's some crazy stuff to say, bro. You gotta, and which one of us as leaders ready to go through that? Ready for the people that they was in your house, They knew your children, they knew your wife, You clothed them, you fed them, and now they about to give you up to death. And they don't care. They cool with it. They cool with you dying. But you gotta love them enough to, deal with them, in spite of the fact that they may try to get you put to death. It's a whole different level, man. It's a whole different level being in a leadership role. That's a heavy crown to wear. It's a heavy thing to think about, to meditate on. That's why everybody can't do it. That's why a lot of the foolish people that think that they can do it and try to go about it the wrong way end up destroying themselves. They don't get it. They don't understand that being a leader means ultimately you're going to die for the people if it come down to it. You won't give your life for the people that you leaving if that's what it takes, right? And everybody ain't willing to do that, man. Everybody can't do that. All right, so bring me to my next point, right? A good king who understands, or a good leader who understands what it's about. Another heavy burden that they may have on their mind is you have to understand that if it goes down to it, you got to sacrifice yourself for the people. You got to be willing to sacrifice yourself for the people, right? Go to Exodus chapter 32, right? And we keep going back to like Moses and David and Christ and many of these people, because these are just some of the examples that we have. But there's plenty of examples of these very same things. But I like using these three specifically because these are who the people typically know about. These are the stories that most people can kind of grasp. Read what you got. 32 and 7. Watch this.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 32 and verse 7.
Read.
And the Lord said unto Moses, go, get thee down, for thy people, which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt, have corrupted themselves.
They corrupted themselves. They were worshiping idols not long after they got out of Egypt. Read.
They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten calf and have worshipped it, have sacrificed thereunto, and said, these be thy gods, O Israel, which have brought thee up out of the land of Egypt.
Read.
And the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people.
They hard damn headed. They don't listen. They stupid kids. They don't listen. They just saw me part the Red Sea. They just saw me, feed them out of a rock. They just give them water out of a rock, feed them from the heavens, and they still won't worship me. They still won't listen to me. Read.
Now, therefore, let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them.
That I'm going to kill every last one of them, Moses. Leave me alone, Moses. I'm about to put them all to death. All of them. Men, women, the babies, everybody about to die. With my man Kevin House said, pew, pew, everybody going to die. Everybody about to die, right? Read.
And I will make of thee a great nation.
And I'm going to start over with just you, Moses. Then you got to think about what's going on in Moses' mind now. God just told me I'm about to kill everybody, and then I'm going to make you have some kids, Moses. And I'm going to start the whole nation of Israel over with you. That's a crazy thing to be told by God. But watch what Moses' mind was. Go to verse 30. Remember, this was after God just told him, leave me alone. I'm about to kill everything. And then the nation of Israel you're going to be the forefather of the nation of Israel. Moses, that's what he told him. Read.
And it came to pass on the morrow that Moses said unto the people, ye have sinned a great sin, and now I will go up unto the Lord. Peradventure I shall make an atonement for your sin.
Read.
And Moses returned unto the Lord and said, O this people have sinned a great sin, and have made them gods of gold. Yet now, if thou wilt forgive their sin,
Read.
and if not, blot me, I pray thee, out of thy book which thou hast written.
Man, wow. You hear this, man? Now for people that are every brother in a leadership position has to consider, if put in this position, are you willing to do this for the people? Every brother that thinks they have the fortitude to be a leader must put themselves in a position and ask themselves, are you willing to do this for your people? Moses said, I know you want to kill everybody, but if it'll appease your wrath to kill me instead of them, then I'll accept that and just kill me. That's a heavy thing for somebody to say. That's it, because Moses didn't do anything wrong, just like Christ didn't do anything wrong. And yet this man was willing to die to atone for the sins of the people if it came down to it, just so God wouldn't destroy the whole nation, and they deserved it. You know, these are the things. This is the heaviness of the crown that a leader is to wear. You know, that in any moment you gotta be willing to sacrifice it all for them. And a lot of times them people are ungrateful as hell. They don't get it. They don't care. They selfish. They evil. They wicked as hell. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. A lot of them just don't care. They just
Of my book. Therefore now go, lead the people unto
right. That's all I wanted. So he said, I'm not gonna kill you, Moses. Anybody that sins against me, that's the people that I'm gonna blot out of my book. All right. Go to what is it? Go to Matthew chapter 16, verse 21. I'm gonna skip some things. Matter of fact, we're gonna hit it. Go to Luke chapter 23 and verse 34. Watch this. Watch this. Now let's get Christ. Best example that we got. Being selfless, sacrificing himself for the people. Read what you got.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 23,
Verse 34.
and verse 34.
Read.
Then said Jesus, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
They have no understanding what's actually happening right now. They have no idea that they putting the Son of God to death, that they putting the Christ to death, that there's a payment for that thing. There's a recompense for that thing. Read.
And they parted his raiment and cast lots.
And furthermore, they don't understand that he's doing it for them. That if he don't do it, they have no hope. They dead men walking. Read.
And the people stood beholding, and the rulers also with them derided him, saying, he saved others, let him save himself. If he be Christ, the chosen of God.
So if he be Christ, if he be the chosen of God, he saved everybody else. Let him save himself. Now, we all know that if Christ would have came down off that cross, which he was perfectly able to do and capable of doing, but if he had, we would all be dead men walking. We all, under the wrath of God, and not one of us about to be redeemed. We all about to be put to death. We all about to be facing that consequence that Moses was told, move out of my way, I'm going to consume them all. Pume, pume, everybody going to die. We all got to face that, right? But Christ understood what exactly his purpose was. He understood the burden that he had to endure for the sake of the people, right? Watch this, Matthew 16:21.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 16, and verse 21.
Read.
From that time forth began Jesus to show unto his disciples how that he must go unto Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders.
This is Christ the King. This is Christ the King of Kings, right? The person that embodies heavy is the head that wears the crown, right? Christ got the crown, but look what he had to endure to get the crown. Look what he had to go through to get that crown, right? He had to endure selfish people that ultimately wanted to get him put to death and did get him put to death. And the death he got was something that no normal man will be able to endure, right? You know, that's the burden, that's the weight of the crown that he had to receive, that many of us going to drink of that same cup, right? Many of us that feign ourselves leaders, you can't drink of that cup. You ain't worthy of that cup. You wouldn't know what to do with that cup if that cup was given you. Read.
And suffer many things of the elders and chief priests and scribes.
Read.
And be killed.
And be killed. And be killed. Read.
And be raised again the third day.
Read.
Then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, Be it far from thee, Lord. This shall not be unto thee.
Read.
But he turned and said unto Peter, Get thee behind me, Satan.
He cussed Peter the hell out, you know, because Peter rebuked him for saying, I got to die for the people. I know my place. I'm going to take the crown that I got. It's heavy as hell, but I'm going to wear that thing. I'm going to bear that burden. I got to, Peter. I got to die for the people. Read.
Thou art an offense unto me.
You offended me right now. Read.
For thou savorest not the thing that be of God, but those that be of men.
Right. This is of God, Peter. I came to die for the nation. I understand what my purpose is. I understand what the task. I get what the responsibility is. You don't. You being selfish. You ain't willing to die for the people, Peter. I'm willing to die for the people. Right? Drop that. Get John 18:7. We almost done, man. Got a few more. Right? John 18:7.
This is the book of John, chapter 18 and verse 7.
Read.
Then asked he them again, Whom seek ye? And they said, Jesus of Nazareth.
Read.
Jesus answered, I have told ye that I am he. If therefore ye seek me, let these go their way.
Yeah, all right, here I am. Let everybody else go. You don't need to deal with them. You can spare their life. Here I am. Take me. Again, showing you that a leader got to be willing to sacrifice himself for the good of his people. Leaders can't be weak, scary men. And that don't mean that you're not going to be scared at times either, because Christ himself was scared. You know, we gonna get that too. Christ himself had fear about what was about to happen. You know, but a good king or a good leader who understands the burden of responsibility understands that they can't let fear move them, can't let fear make their decisions for them. Like, you can't move like that. That's what bravery is. Bravery is not the absence of being afraid. It's just doing what needs to be done in spite of the fact that in that moment you're afraid. You can't be brave if you're not afraid. That's literally the definition of bravery. Bravery can only happen if fear is present. All right? Keep reading.
That the saying might be fulfilled, which he spake, of them which thou gavest me have I lost none.
Read.
Then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it, and smote the high priest's servant, and cut off his ear, his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus.
Right, so Peter was on that, right? He told Christ already, look, man, you say people about to kill you, but that ain't happening on my watch. So this was the moment where Peter was about to prove that thing. So Peter was being the devil, so that you understand. Christ already told him, you the devil, man. I got to do this. Peter wasn't having it. Peter was like, nah, I'm on that. You know, they put their hands on you, they got an issue. Right? Keep reading.
Then said Jesus unto Peter, put up thy sword into the sheath.
Read.
The cup which my Father have given me, shall I not drink it?
This is what God ordained for me to do. Should I not, do it? Should I not drink the cup that God the Father gave me to do, Peter? Put your sword away. This is ordained of God. This is the mark of a real leader, right? A real leader willing to die for his people. That I understand that, Peter. Put your sword up. It ain't your time yet. We ain't on that right now. This got to happen, right? Matthew 26, verse 36. Remember, I said that, bravery is not the absence of fear. It's just doing what needs to be done, what is necessary, in spite of the fact that you got some fear on you, and you can't be brave without fear, right? Christ himself had fear. Christ himself feared something, because the death he was about to undertake is not a normal death. That's not something that men naturally want to do. Most of us would rather die peaceably, laying at home in the bed and just, you go to sleep and you just don't wake up. You with the Lord in the kingdom, right? If we were so lucky. Read what you got. Matthew 26 and 36.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 26 and verse 36.
Read.
Then cometh Jesus with them unto a place called Gethsemane, and saith unto the disciples, sit ye here while I go and pray yonder.
Read.
And he took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy.
He began to be sorrowful. He began to think on what has to happen now. This has to happen. We here now. I done all the things I needed to do. Now the last thing that I got to do is right at the doorstep. He began to be sorrowful. He began to meditate on what he got to endure in his body for the sake of the people. Read.
Then saith he unto them, my soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death.
He said, my soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death. Right? He understood the burden that's on this man at this time is almost unbearable. To the point where he had to go off and pray alone, for strength and for courage and for guidance to the Father to do this thing. Because this isn't a normal thing. This isn't something that a normal man. Imagine you were showed that you got to go and die this horrible, gruesome death. And this is the only way that all of your people are going to get saved. It's the only way it's going to happen, and you got to endure it. That's your portion. And you know it. You see it. You done seen it. You done seen the visions. You done seen them putting the nails in your hands and in your feet. You done seen the crown of thorns. You done seen them scourging you and whipping you to within an inch of your life, and barely recognizable people stealing off on you, ripping your beard out your face, throwing rocks at you. You done seen all of this, and you know this coming. What would be your thoughts? Are you able to bear that crown? Are you able to wear that on your head and bear the weight of that crown on your head? Read.
Tarry ye here and watch with me.
Read.
And he went a little further and fell on his face and prayed, saying, O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as thou wilt.
Right. He asked God that if it's possible, and all things are possible with you, if it's possible, take this cup away. I don't want to do this. What I'm saying? Nobody in their right mind wants to do that. Not even Christ wanted to do that. What he understood, though, was the burden that was upon him as a leader of the people. The task that he was given, right? It had to happen. It couldn't happen no other way. He had to die for the people, or there was no hope for the people. And because Christ had so much compassion on the people, and because he understood the burden that he had to do, and because he would not, under any circumstances, go from his Father's will, he endured something that many of us would never endure. Not even for the people we claim to love the most, not even for our wives and our children. We wouldn't endure that, many of us. But he had to endure this thing for us today, 2,000 plus years later, right? All right, drop that. Drop that. So, Ecclesiastes 3. I mean, Sirach 3. Sorry, Sirach 3 and verse 18. Watch this. So the point is, leadership or a leadership role or kingship or rulership, whatever the case may be, is not something to be taken lightly. It's not something that's easy. It's not something that everybody can do. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. The people that understand what leadership is and the burden that it is don't take it lightly. They love the people. They have compassion on the people. They work hard for the people. They're leading from the front. They endure hatred and slander from the people. And ultimately they're willing to die and sacrifice it all for the people. These are the marks and the things of a true leader, of a true king. So if these aren't things that you are willing to exhibit, then you really aren't able to bear that burden. You really aren't a leader. You really can't really call yourself a king. These are the things that kings and leaders understand, right? So get that. Sirach chapter 3.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 3 and verse 18.
Read.
The greater thou art, the more humble thyself.
Right. The greater you are, the more you got to humble yourself. You are a servant to the people. A king is a servant to the people. That's why that crown is so heavy. That's why a person who understands that doesn't really seek for that crown. That's why a person who doesn't understand that will seek for that crown and destroy his kingdom, destroy his people. Because he doesn't understand the greater you are, the more humble yourself, the more of a servant you are to the people. Read.
And thou shalt find favor before the Lord.
And the humbler you are, the more favor you find with God. That's why God was willing to grant Solomon his petition, because he didn't ask for vanity. He asked for the ability to judge the people of God. I'm afraid to mess these people up. These your people, God. Give me the ability to understand and to judge wisely this people, your people. Read.
Many are in high place and of renown.
Many people, many brothers, even bad ones, are going to get leadership position, right? Even bad ones, even ones that they don't need to be in a leadership position, right? They're going to have place of renown. We know that because we didn't have people amongst us who were in high leadership positions. Men of renown, famous, break the scriptures down eloquently. Now, where they at? Read.
But mysteries are revealed unto the meek.
But the meek, the humble, are the ones that God can and will use for the benefit of his people, like Moses, like Christ, like David. Read.
For the power of the Lord is great, and he is honored of the lowly.
Right, and he is honored of the lowly. Why? Because the lowly love God's people, just like God loves his people. Just like God was willing to make a sacrifice in his son for his people. Just like Christ was willing to sacrifice for his people. Just like Moses, just like David was willing to sacrifice for his people. All right, last one, Sirach 44 and 1. Right? Because many times not always apparent to good leaders is a lot of times when they're alive, they're hated, they're despised. And you really don't know what entails their merit until after they've passed on. Now you can step back and look at their body of work and understand what kind of man that person was, what kind of leader they was. And this happens all throughout history, right? Many of the men that we read about and that we glorify and that we honor were hated in their generations, right? They got glory in their generations because of what we read about them now. But during the times of their life, these men were despised. Even bring it up to today. Many of the people, Martin Luther King was despised when he was alive. Malcolm X was despised when he was alive. What's the guy? Benji. Marcus Garvey was despised, especially by Benji. Benji hated Marcus Garvey when he was alive. Now these men are dead and gone, and now we can examine their bodies of work. And now these men receive honor for the things that they did. But when they were alive, it wasn't so. Right? Read Sirach 44 and 1.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 44 and verse 1.
So when we do get good leaders, when we do get, because we don't have kings today, but the phrase, heavy is the head that wears the crown, is simply a phrase attributed to people in leadership positions that have the burden of responsibility towards the people that they're leading, right? When we have good leaders, we need to honor them, not just in their death, but when they are alive. because that's where the body of work is being manifested while they are alive. You know, we got to get better at honoring these people while they live, right? Read what you got.
Let us now praise famous men
Uh-huh.
and our fathers that begot us.
Let us praise famous men and our fathers, meaning our forefathers that begot us, because these men are famous because of the things that they were willing to do on behalf of God's people. Just like our leadership today, our bishops, our deacons, and our captains. All of the things they're willing to do, even die for the people if it come down to it. You know, that's what makes these men famous. That's what makes them leaders of the people. Not because they sound good and they smell good. They care about the people. Read.
The Lord hath wrought great glory by them through his great power from the beginning.
And from the beginning, God used these men to do wondrous things, glorious things in the earth. Read.
Such as did bear rule in their kingdoms, men renowned for their power, giving counsel by their understanding, and declaring prophecies.
Read.
Leaders of the people by their counsels, and by their knowledge of learning meet for the people.
Right, and these people were good for the people, right? Verse 7.
Verse 7. All these were honored to their generations.
All these were honored in their generations, many after their death. Read.
And were glory of their times.
And were the glory of their times, meaning these were the most famous and precious men of their day. Read.
There be of them that have left a name behind them, that their praise might be reported.
Right, and these men have left a name for themselves that is remembered beyond when they lived. We're talking about men, David, Solomon, Christ, Moses. These men lived thousands of years ago, and we're reading their report. That's how you know they received honor. But that honor wasn't garnered in a night. You know, that honor came over time when the body of work can be examined, and we examine that body of work when we read the scriptures, right? So, you know, think about that. You know, next time you may have some critique for your leadership, you know, or sisters, you might get out of the spirit because, you know, your Lord may have a lot going on, or you may think he don't understand, or you may think you can do something better than him, or he not moving as fast as you would like him to do, or brothers, you impatient, or sisters, you impatient, or maybe you think you can do the job better than the man that's set up in leadership. Just remember the phrase, heavy is the head who wears the crown, and ask yourself, can you bear the burden of that leadership role? All right, that's the class. That's Daily Bread. I'm Officer Yosef. To my right,
Soldier St. Amos.
all right, that's another edition of Daily Bread. Shalom, Most High in Christ bless.
Shalom. Most High in Christ bless.